Hi, I'm Alessandra.
I'm Sebastian.
And this is our cat. Welcome to the third episode of the QCAT podcast, where we'll be discussing innovation, technology, and the future of smart cities. In the last episode, we talked a little bit about smart cities. Well, more like we talked a lot about it since Sebastian doesn't know when to shut up. But I promise that today's episode will be shorter and we'll get straight to the point. Today we'll talk about cybersecurity, which is a topic that interests us all as a global community. So, Sebastian, what is cybersecurity?
I'll summarize it in 10 words since you don't want me to talk too much. We can define it as the practice of defending electronic devices, computers, servers, mobile devices, electronic systems, networks, internet infrastructures. The objective is to protect these cyberspaces from malicious cyber attacks. The type of cybersecurity will depend on the type of cyber attack. And among the most common types, we could group them into these three categories.
The first type of cyber attack is malware, which since the beginning of the internet era and the surge of personal electronic devices has always been warned about, suggesting to always have an active antivirus and firewall, or else your device might get infected. Malware is a malicious software that infects a system or infrastructure that contains data such as computers, printers, and almost any internet-based devices. There are various types of malwares, such as Trojans, spywares, scarewares, ransomwares. This last one is one of the most common types nowadays. There are a lot of different types of malware, which is the type of cyber attack that most people have heard about. We won't get too deep into this one since it's the one most people know of, but there is another one that's interesting. The second example of cyber attacks we'll talk about is social engineering. This is when an individual is tried to be convinced, extorted, or manipulated into doing something they shouldn't be doing. For example, when they ask you to give up data or sensible information that you normally would not share, but they convince you to give it up on your own accord.
Unlike malwares, in this case, the hacker doesn't need to directly interact with any technological or cybernetic system, since the hacking is being done by the victim of this social engineering.
It's like a persuasion.
And it could be blackmailing. The most common case we see on a daily basis is phishing, which comes in the form of text messages telling you that the package you ordered is on its way.
And they send a link.
Right, like, to track the delivery of your package, click here. Another case is when you accidentally enter the wrong website. Let's say you're looking for the Interbank website. You click the first Google result, but you don't realize that the URL has a typo and says Interbank with double N. It's a very similar URL, and the web design looks identical. And when you type in your login information, you give up that information to whoever is behind the phishing.
And you receive these texts everywhere, via SMS, mail, WhatsApp, social media.
Or the oldest trick in the book. You get a phone call saying that your mom is in danger, and they need you to take out all the family jewels to the doorstep. A few people I know have fallen victim to this modus operandi.
That's an all-time classic.
And you may think this sounds ridiculous, but on the spur of the moment, you may not realize what's really going on, and you end up giving them what they ask for.
They put you in a state of desperation where you think that you'll lose something, and you may not necessarily think twice before doing what they ask because you blindly trust these institutions. You think, oh, if my bank's asking. And since you trust these institutions, the thought that this may be a scam doesn't cross your mind. That's why some banks have started campaigns to raise awareness about this type of cyber attacks. They send text messages to their users saying, "We won't ever ask for your password." It's been such a massive modus operandi that institutions saw necessary to organize these campaigns. The third example of cyber attacks are the DOS and DDoS, which stand for Denial of Service and Distributed Denial of Service. They work in similar ways, but DDoS uses a botnet to attack more devices, while DOS are one-on-one attacks. DOS attacks are not as harmful as DDoS, which uses a botnet to overload a server with a large number of requests so that it collapses, and the real users of this server cannot access its functions.
So that's the basic information we wanted to share regarding cybersecurity. Of course, there are plenty more topics to explore. So if you're interested in learning more, stay tuned to our social media and read our posts.